Okay, so she's asked me to tell you why the system worked during Watergate and why you can trust that it will again. And after today's program, I can say one of the reasons that I'm hopeful the system will work is you in this room. You and what you are doing is going to make a difference. This may be the turning point that the Saturday Night Massacre was during Watergate. We've all seen the reality of what we're in now, and we know we have to act. That's what's going to keep us going. So thank you all for what you're doing, and keep on doing it. But let's sort of look at why did the system work during Watergate? What about it? Well, first of all, journalists played a big role because they kept the public informed and interested. And that's happening now. It's the same thing. There is a difference, and this is not a good thing. The proliferation of the media means that we don't have an agreed set of facts. Back in Watergate, for those of you who may remember, and my friends are here, they will remember, we had ABC, NBC, and CBS. We had trusted commentators. We believed the same things. We debated what they meant, but we agreed on what they were. Nowadays, we have MSNBC and we have Fox News, and we don't agree on the facts. So we can't have a rational debate anymore. And that's something we have to take care of because facts matter. We had a special prosecutor who made a big difference in Watergate, and I believe that Mueller will make the same big difference. I trust him. I think we have to give him time. I know everybody here has asked me, why is it taking so long? He's only been appointed for 5 months. That's not very long. The crime or crimes weren't discovered right away, or to the extent that they weren't revealed. Now that we know what we're looking at, we can actually go after it. So you have to be a little patient. Facts and evidence are really what he's developing, what the press is developing, and in this case, the press, of course, is letting you know right now. You will not hear from Mueller until there are indictments, or until he says, I'm closing the office with no indictments. He can use the tactic that we used, which was to make a report to Congress. We chose not to indict the president, but to name him an unindicted co-conspirator, which for all of you non-lawyers may not mean anything, but it means that anything he said, including his tapes, were admissible in evidence for the trial. And that was an important thing, but it also was our way of having some justice done because he was as guilty as any of the defendants. But the second special prosecutor, Leanne Jaworski, believed very strongly that impeachment, not indictment, was the way to deal with criminality by a president. Since then, there has been a memo from Ken Starr, of all people, who, during his investigation, who has concluded that you can indict a sitting president. I was of that opinion during Watergate and was very vociferous. We made Leanne Jaworski go before the grand jury to tell them why they couldn't indict the president because we all believed there was the evidence and that the law supported us. So he went to them and said, no, you can't, but we're going to make this report. We'll ask the judge for permission to give our evidence to the House. And it was a roadmap to impeachment. So whether we were right or wrong, the result was the same. But the other big difference is there was bipartisan support for not only us, but it was the Republicans who went to the president and said, we just heard the smoking gun tape, and if you don't resign, you will be convicted. And I don't see very many currently serving Republicans who are going to go to Trump. And I don't see Trump listening because although there are very similar personalities between the two, and that's an important element to keep in mind, and the underlying crimes are similar, I do think this underlying crime is far worse because it may, if it is true, involve a foreign adversary who messed with our election. And democracy cannot survive if we can't trust our vote. So the break-in at the DNC pales in comparison to the hacking that may have happened of state elections, et cetera. So that's an important difference. And I think we need to keep that in mind. We also had a lot of problem with not just the fact that Donald Trump didn't win a majority of the popular vote. Nixon did. He won a landslide. He won 49 out of 50 states. And still look at what the result was. That gives me hope. If a man who won 49 out of 50 states, not just the Electoral College, could be forced out of office, then someone who doesn't even have the popular vote certainly could be. So that should give us all hope. Another big difference that gives me depression and hope at the same time is that Nixon actually had some political goals, and he accomplished things. He passed Title IX. He started EPA. He opened China. You tell me what Donald Trump has done. He has taken things away from us, good things. He hasn't accomplished anything. So in the end of the day, and you may think I'm Pollyanna, but I believe voters will become jurors. And at some point, there's going to be this turning point. In the same way that Weinstein has changed the discussion of sexual assault and sexual discrimination and has opened a door for things that may save women going forward, there may be the same kind of turning point here where jurors, not voters, say, wait a minute, he said he was going to lower my premiums. He said he was going to do this. And that's not happened. He's not helping me. And at some point, they will see the truth and the reality, and that should give us all hope. So another element that's come up today that I want to comment on is money. During Watergate, there would not have been a break-in except for the unlimited amount of money that the Republicans had. They had cash in safes. When the proposal to break into the Watergate, Operation Gemstone as it was known, was presented in the Attorney General's office, John Mitchell's formal Department of Justice office before he moved out to become the head of CREEP, the Committee to Re-elect the President. The proposal was for $1 million. And did he say you're proposing illegal acts, it's ridiculous, it's stupid? No, he said it's just too much money. Reduce the budget and I'll approve it. So they came back with a budget cut in half and he approved it. If they had had to think about how valuable it was to spend money on a break-in at the DNC, they would have never spent that money. And that's why the Watergate legislation got rid of the money. Unfortunately, Citizens United brought it back. That's something we need to all address because that is the single worst decision. So what do we need now? The Democrats, the progressives need a message that people understand that resonates with our voters. We need a messenger to deliver that. And that will help us go forward. And I see leaders here. I know there's a lot of young candidates out there who are exciting and interesting, and we need to get to them. So let me end with just sort of why I really think the system's going to work. And it's partly because I think voters will be jurors. And when I started on my new career 10 years after retiring, I was asked a question. So if you can play the video.
Tomorrow's headlines before they go to print.
I've just been handed some great reporting.
Tomorrow's questions before anyone's asked them.
Could you make an obstruction case?
I think I could.
Tomorrow's conversation tonight.
Who is there to stand up to the boss and speak truth to power?
Not a single person.
The 11th hour with Brian Williams.
Another remarkable night for journalism.
More than the day that was, it's the day that will be.
How does this end?
The 11th hour, weeknights at 11 on MSNBC.
But what I want to say is if he asked me that question tonight, I would say not I think I could, I can. And I think we will end up with a case of obstruction. So that gives me hope that this nightmare will end. Thank you.